Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all doing well. Okay, this is a recap of week 13 of the marathon training so far. Week 13 took place from the 7th of August to the 13th of August, and it's also the second week of the 4-week race preparation training block. So Monday was just a bit of rest. Of course, I did a bit of walking as well. I think I was still recovering from my allergy or cold or whatever, so yeah, didn't want to do much. Just took it easy that day, I guess. Tuesday was supposed to be an interval session. It was supposed to be like around 16Ks of running in total with 6 by 1K repetitions at 5K race pace and about 2 minutes of jog recovery in between. However, I ended up running in the evening at the track for the first time ever. It was at the Crest in Bankstown. Met up with Mark and Joe, and they also brought some carbon plated shoes for me to try as well. It was a Nike Zoom X Vaporfly Next Percent 2 and also the Puma Fast R Nitro Elite. So this is my first time ever training on a track, and it was also a Tuesday as well, and the track is apparently quite busy on Tuesday evenings. I think there's like high school kids training with the coach, and also later in the evening there's also like a local club competition as well, so like a bunch of like 1K, 2K, 5K track racing as well. So we didn't have much time to run on the track and not much space either in terms of like lanes. We had to like run on like lane 3 and 4, but then it became like 6, 7, 8 later on as well. I tried on the Vaporflies for the first time ever, and the sizing and fit kind of surprising because I thought Nike shoes are always kind of narrow, but somehow my wide feet kind of fit in them. The heel was kind of loose and the laces were kind of shorter, but yeah, like still felt so snappy and fast, like faster than any of my shoes I own right now. Like my fastest shoes probably my Speed 3s or my Rebel V3s. However, I did have some pasta for dinner, so I had stitches the whole time. It wasn't really great, but somehow with those kinds of shoes I still held my pace really well. Unfortunately, I couldn't really track my run properly because I was using like the track run mode on my Garmin watch, and I don't think I configured properly, so the data's all over the place. I managed to get like 3 interval reps before like the local club competition started, so we took it outside to the parking lot and tried continuing the intervals. This time I tried wearing the Fast R's, and wow, they felt so light and snappy, like just a crazy kind of feel compared to like the shoes I own right now. Maybe it's not a forgiving ride or fit like the Vaporflies, but yeah, it was still very fast, if not faster than the Vaporflies. We got the 3 intervals done for the most part. Eventually we all had to go, so yeah, we called a day there. And again, thanks to Mark and Joe for hitting me up and like showing me the track, I guess, and also like letting me try on the carbon plated shoes. It definitely gives a bit of insight on what these crazy kind of shoes do like, and also like yeah, it was a fun experience overall. Unfortunately, I didn't really hit the 16Ks of running I was supposed to do, and I don't think the intervals went as fast or as steady as they should have, and I think I rested a bit long for the recovery periods as well. But yeah, it should be alright. It was a fun training session for all of us. Wednesday was a 24K medium long run. I decided to run in the evening with Rhodes runners again because yeah, Tuesday evening did that little interval session, and I didn't really want to do the medium long run in the morning the day after, so yeah, just pushed it back to the evening. However, I did have massive stitches again throughout the run, and yeah, like it's probably because I had a big dinner again. It's kind of strange because I don't really have stitches during running, like I don't really push myself that hard. It's kind of strange to have like twice in a row and in evenings too, but I'm pretty sure it's because I had big dinner beforehand both times. Did like the first 9 kilometers solo at Sidlin Park, met up with the Rose Runners guys, and then I think most of the runners there were like tapering for the upcoming City Surf race on Sunday as well, so I think the idea was to take it really chill, but for whatever reason Chris, Morgan and I decided to go pretty fast throughout and like also do the Princess Street as well, so that's the extra hill that they were doing for like the City Surf training, but no one's really like training hard for it anymore, so it was kind of like yeah, unideal, I guess. So it was my second time going up the Princess Street. This time I went on the right side, which is the steeper side, and yeah, it was quite steeper than the left side, I guess. Yeah, Chris and I just took it easy, but Morgan really sent up the hill, and like yeah, he really did well for it, surprisingly, for like an evening kind of run too. And then we head back down and continue the Rose Runners course as well. And then at this point, you know, the idea is we're all going to do City Surf on Sunday, so let's take it chill, right? But no, that didn't really happen because for the last 2Ks of this route, along the Rhodes foreshore, for whatever reason we decided to go fast again, so yeah, we just kind of went really hard on the last 2Ks, and by the end we were pretty tired and like all sweaty, and yeah, I don't know if it was worth it, but so much for a taper run, right? But yeah, it was all in good fun, I think. I just knew we were going to be very sore the next days, and to finish off my long run I just did the last 4K solo around Sidlin Park, yeah, which is always dark, I guess. Thursday was a 16K double recovery. First 10Ks did the morning on grass again at Bankstown City Sports Complex. Felt a bit sore from the evening before, but it wasn't too bad because I guess I did plenty of like foam rolling and stretching the night before. I guess it's pretty good to do like these recovery runs on grass because I think I would have been a bit more sore if I did on pavement. And then I did like the 6K later in the evening, did a bit late again, like around 6:30 p.m. It was very cold and windy this time, and yeah, I felt very bloated and sluggish. Friday was a 19K medium long run. Decided to run along Cooks River Cycleway this time instead of like my usual Sidlin Park route. And yeah, decided to wear my Brooks Hyperion Tempo as well to take a break from always wearing my New Balance Rebel V3s. It was quite cold and windy for the first half of the run, but I did warm up nicely in the second half. I felt pretty solid throughout the whole run. I think most of the soreness was gone by now, so yeah. Saturday was supposed to be 8K's recovery. Decided to do the roads parkrun this time and also take it quite slow. Throughout the parkrun, I thought I was going at like aerobic to recovery pace, but after like checking the data later on, I think I was going a bit faster than I should have for recovery, but like I guess it's fine. And also didn't feel like topping up my mileage as well, so yeah, just did 5Ks, not 8Ks, which should be fine, I guess. Okay, so Sunday was supposed to be like a 29K long run with 23Ks at marathon pace effort. I think this is also the last big marathon pace run I was supposed to do as well. It's not the longest long run in the train program, but like it is the longest marathon pace effort in the whole program. However, it was also the 2023 City to Surf that day. I already signed up to it like before I even started this whole marathon train program. It was also going to be my first time doing the City Surf ever, so it was going to be exciting, I guess. I was still conflicted what to do here. Like, should I have like done the long run first and then like, you know, do the City Surf like midway between, or like should I just like do the City Surf entirely and just like continue the long run afterwards? I'm not really sure. I end up just like racing the City Surf, having fun, and just like not doing anything afterwards, to be honest. Let's do a quick recap of the City Surf event, I guess. I woke up pretty early that day, like around 5 AM. Got some decent sleep, but unfortunately I woke up feeling kind of sick. I knew from Saturday afternoon I was like getting some allergies again, or like a cold. I was getting like some sneezing, like itchy nose, that kind of stuff again. It usually happens like right before spring comes around, so yeah, like, it'll be even worse when spring actually comes, I guess. Pretty much the same feeling I had in the previous week for my other 10K tune-up race, so yeah, it wasn't feeling great, but I knew I could still run, I guess. Got in a pretty decent breakfast. It was my usual overnight oats, banana, a bagel, and also a few oat bars. I did eat a bit more than usual for just like a 14K race. I just didn't want to risk feeling hungry for like the race, I guess. And unfortunately, no issues with indigestion or anything, so yeah, that was great. The weather was kind of gloomy. It was like forecasted to be like a bit cloudy and maybe rainy, I guess. And yes, it did look very cloudy that morning. I was kind of worried it was going to rain during the race, but it actually didn't at all. And then I set out to take the train to get to the city. The race starts at 7:40 AM, but the plan was to get to like around 7 AM to like get some time to like warm up, go to the bathroom, and then get back to the line to get like a decent position before starting, I guess. By the time I got to the city, I needed to pee, so like yeah, I was like kind of scrambling around Town Hall Station and like the galleries trying to find toilets, but they're always packed or closed, so yeah. Ended up going to Hyde Park at like around 7:15, I think. I finally met up with the boys at Hyde Park, and we all had like a little quick pre-run chat before we all decided to like go to the bathroom before the race, I guess. At this point, we still had decent time to go. We passed by the lineup area for the red wave, and yeah, it didn't look too bad. Like I feel like if we just went there and lined up, we got like a pretty decent position to start off with. But yeah, we ended up deciding to go to the porta potties, like, you know, take a bathroom break, I guess. And the lines were massive. I think we were there like around 7:20, and like by 7:30, like we haven't really progressed much in line, and yeah, somehow we all end up making it back in time, but then it was all like around 7:35. We were pretty much at the middle or the back. I don't really know exactly where we are in the line, but yeah, it was, as you can see, like it was like really packed, I guess. The start horn goes off, and yeah, it was like a massive stampede. Well, it wasn't a stampede, it was like a very slow shuffle to the start line. It took us like around 3 minutes to get there. Yeah, and by the time we actually got to the start line, yeah, we took off. I guess Chris, Morgan, and I were trying to stick together for the most part, like yeah, but it was so hard. It was so difficult to like navigate throughout the crowd, I guess. I feel like there was like around, I'm guessing like 3,000 to 4,000 people in front of us, you know. I don't really know, so I'm just like guessing, you know. We all had slightly different goals in mind. I think Chris and Morgan, for example, aimed for like around 55 to 56 minutes. For whatever reason, I said like 53 minutes. I've never really done this course before, I don't know what to expect, but I just threw the number out there to see how it goes. I feel like they're more realistic because they've sort of done the course before and they know what to expect, but I was just being a bit optimistic, I guess. I guess for the first 2Ks, I kind of lost Chris as well, so he was somewhere behind or like nearby. I just couldn't find him, and then Morgan and I kind of stuck together for a while as well. We would try to like surge ahead every now and then, like zigzagging across people. Sometimes we had to like go at like 120% effort to just like navigate around people and stuff, but it was just so crowded. It was the most crowded race I've ever done, or the most crowded starter race I've ever done. Imagine like a park run, but like 50 times more crowded. Very difficult to go fast if you had started in the middle somewhere. I almost feel like I didn't want to race this. I just want to like take it easy, or just like a long run. I know people often mention Heartbreak Hill being a crazy hill, but I swear like there were some kind of challenging inclines along like King's Cross, Edge Cliff, and like Double Bay. And I feel like those, in my opinion, were like way tougher than the actual Heartbreak Hill because it was so difficult to scale due to how crowded it was, I guess. By the time we reached like 5-6Ks, I think I lost Morgan at this point. Like, yeah, it's kind of hard to keep track of each other, so yeah, we just end up doing our own race, I guess. And then I finally reached Heartbreak Hill. At this point, I was very mentally exhausted. I don't think I was that physically exhausted, but I was just like mentally not feeling. I was like, oh, it took us that much effort to get like 6Ks in. Like, what else is there to go, right? And there's that massive hill in front of us. It's like a 1.6K hill apparently, and I don't know, the incline's for like 5 to 7%, or yeah, something like that. But it's not too bad because it's very steady as well. I mean, that's relative to how I feel, right? But yeah, like once I reached the hill, I didn't feel like going super fast on it anyway, because I feel like if I did, I'd probably like waste a lot of energy, and I still don't know what to expect after the hill. Like I said, I don't really know the course, so I just like kept it steady, went up the hill, went fine, but like yeah, kind of hard dodge people, and I feel like I didn't really go the optimal routes, which is like, you know, you hug the corners and like go straight from corner to corner, but I just like, I feel I just did like a little snaking around, I guess. After Heartbreak Hill, we were pretty much at Vaucluse, and I think there was like a little nice downhill before there was gonna be more hills, so what I did was I decided to like get some water, might as well, because I was kind of thirsty. I was like, again, I was feeling kind of sick, so my throat was like drying out a bit more than usual. The good thing is that normally people stopped at the water station, so yeah, it was kind of empty for the most part. So yeah, I just ran by, grabbed a cup, and like, you know, just try to like chug it down in the normal fashion, just like drink like this, and I kind of splashed my face, my shirt, and I just kind of choked, and my glasses got a bit soaked, and I couldn't see it. So yeah, it was very awkward. Chucked the cup and just shook my head and kept going, I guess. That wasn't a very ideal water stop, but I guess it still kind of helped because I was feeling a bit more cool afterwards, but just frustrated that I didn't get the proper like water I wanted, I guess. And then like not too long later, like we finally reached the incline around like the top of Dover Heights, and I figured, you know what, I feel like it's gonna be all down here from here, so why not get a bit of water before like it starts again. So yeah, at this point I was trying to recall some stuff I watched on YouTube, like there's like a whole technique on how to like drink water in a race, I guess. So yeah, I remember you had to like when you approach the water station, I guess, you gotta like point to the person that you're trying to like get water from, and then like you acknowledge them, you call out the name or like the shirt or whatever it is, like hey, green shirt, I want the cup, you know. So you sort of like gesture at them, like, you know, let them know that you're coming, that you want to get the cup, and then you grab the cup, you kind of like chuck a bit of water out, and then you fold the cup and you take a little sip. You're not gonna drink the whole cup of water, but you at least get something, and you're not gonna spill much water, you're not gonna splash yourself. So that's what I tried doing, right? So I got to the water station, I pointed at the girl there, I grabbed the cup of her, I did the squeezing thing, but I forgot to splash water out because they feel the cup's pretty high. So I forgot to splash it out. So I did the squeezing cup thing, but I just splashed all my face and then just kind of spilled water everywhere. And then I tried to drink what's left of the water, but then I just kind of choked again because I was like, I don't know, I wasn't in the mood yet. So just yeah, chucked the cup out, just kept it running. Yeah, so that again wasn't the best way to get water, but I think I got a nice boost out of that anyway. So yeah, from that point I was like, no more water, I think I'm done. So this is like right before North Bondi, so yeah, it was pretty much the whole downhill all the way towards Bondi. And also by this point it wasn't as crowded as the early kilometers, which is good, but it's still pretty crowded, I guess. And it was pretty fast too. Like this is probably the first time I like actually like tried going downhill kind of fast. I was still kind of cautious because again I didn't really know the routes. It was still a bit twisty and windy at some points, and yeah, and like there's some bad surfaces along the road as well. So yeah, I did try going down fast a bit, but also sort of stuck with a few hacks as well, as much as I could. And then I could see like Bondi Beach getting closer and closer, and I could see like crowds like forming there as well. And by the time I like reached the shoreline, it was getting kind of flat too, but there was like a slight incline, I guess, before it goes back to the, like a flatter surface. There's like pretty much like 1 or 2 k's to go, I think. I haven't checked and watched that much at this point, so I was like still kind of holding back a bit because I feel like I heard someone like, you know, the course is a bit further than you think, so don't go all out at the last part. There's gonna be a hairpin turn, and they were right, there was a hairpin turn, but yeah, I ended up taking like a really like long turn, so just take it safe. I turned back, there's like 500 meters to go. Had to slow down a fair bit in this area because I think a lot of people were doing the same. They just want to be careful, but then there was others like just sprinting ahead. So I really didn't want to like sprint towards the end, so I just like held my pace as much as I could and kept steady towards the end. And yeah, I ended up finishing like around 53:34, which is like a pretty fast, I think. I feel I could have gone faster, but yeah, for like a first timer there, I think it's a great time. So yeah, I'll take it, you know. Then very soon after, I also met Chris, someone else who watches this channel, and like, you know, he came up to me and said hi. He recognized me somehow. I'm like wow, well done, you know. Like he finished pretty fast too. Like, I think it was a massive PB for him, so well done to him as well. And then we met up with more of the guys later on. I think all of them got PBs this time, so well done to them. We also took some great photos as well, and we also like checked out the event village. It was quite fun. There's like a lot of booths, a lot of things to do there. We even ended up watching like some of the other races at the end as well, like on the sidelines. Wow, like the race goes on for ages. Apparently there was like around 80,000 runners in the city of Surf this year, and we got a bit of like food afterwards as well. And then later on, a few of us went to the pub, got a few drinks as well. Decided to walk back to Bondi Junction station rather than take the bus. I think it's like around 2.5 k's to get there, and took us about like 25 minutes, so I guess it wasn't too bad. And then by the time I got home, I was feeling kind of sick. Like at this point, I think the allergies of the cold kicked in again because I started like sneezing heaps again, like getting itchy nose and stuff. So I didn't end up doing another run to make up for the 29 k's I was supposed to do that day, but yeah, just call it a day instead. Overall, the City Surf was like a really fun race, a great atmosphere. I might do it again next year. Hopefully I'll line up properly this time, somewhere a bit closer at the front, I guess, and then see how it goes, especially now that I've done the course once and have a bit more experience and know what to expect. That brings the total weekly mileage to like around 86 kilometers. I was supposed to do like around 113 kilometers this week. This 86k week is probably the most sidetracked and probably the lowest weekly mileage I've done for this entire marathon training program. I didn't hit my intervals properly on Tuesday, didn't get the pace or recovery I was supposed to do, and didn't do like a proper warm-up or cool down. Wednesday wasn't bad in terms of mileage I was supposed to do, but I think I kind of pushed it a bit too hard. Luckily, recovery went okay for that. And then of course, Sunday I was supposed to do the long run with marathon pace, but didn't do that and just ended up doing like the city surf race instead. But you know what, on that note, let's quickly talk about how I feel when training doesn't go to plan, I guess, especially in the context of this week. So firstly, I think it's okay to deviate from the training program to have a bit of fun or get a bit of new experiences, I guess. For example, this week I got to try running on a track for the first time and do some training on it as well, and also try some carbon-plated shoes as well. And also I got to run the city surf for the first time ever. However, for those examples, that was by choice. Unfortunately, sometimes things can like get in the way of training that's unavoidable. For example, like personal circumstances like injury, and those things are much tougher to deal with in my opinion. Fortunately, I haven't had much of that in my training so far, but I'll have to definitely keep an open mind on how to approach it when it comes, I guess. For me personally, if I'm doing like this kind of whole training program for the first time ever, I'd prefer to like stick to it as much as possible if I can. I feel like that's part of like building discipline in terms of training. And it's also my first time doing like these big mileage weeks with all this structure. So I feel like without much experience in that kind of area, like I feel like if something goes wrong, I'm not really sure on how to approach it, I guess. So I like to stick to the plan as much as I can, but I feel like, yeah, when things happen, it happens. So like, I guess I'll get better with dealing with it as it comes, and that's all part of experience, I guess. The other thing is there's not too many marathon pace efforts in this whole training program, and the ones I've done in training in the past so far, they've always felt hard or difficult to do, but like when looking back at it, it always went okay. But that's because I stuck to the plan in terms of training for those long runs so far. So honestly, I feel like missing out on Sunday's long run has made me lose a bit of like confidence, and also maybe a bit of fitness too. But you know what, based on how I've felt in the past few weeks, and also like how I felt throughout the week in terms of like training, I'd like to assume that if I didn't do the city surf race that Sunday and I did the long run instead as usual, I feel like it would have went fairly well anyway. That's just an assumption, I guess. And also looking back on how I went on the city surf race, I think that gave me a lot of experience too, especially like going fast on downhills. I do get in some hill training, but I never really run fast downhill. So yeah, the city surf race has given me some confidence in terms of like running fast downhill. And the other thing is the training effort and adaptations I've made for the whole like 13 weeks of training I've done so far. I don't think I'll lose much fitness from just like 1 week of less than ideal training, I guess. Maybe my training has gone pretty well so far, so like missing a workout or two this late in isn't that bad, but at the same time it is getting closer and closer to like taper and like race day, so I really shouldn't be missing out on workouts either, I guess. Pretty glad I didn't get injured from that week, I guess, especially after city surf, which may be the most nervous. It's like, you know, those downhills for me personally, and because of that I should be able to still get in quality training time for like another 2 weeks before, like, you know, taper comes around. And then once taper hits, I'm not gonna get much fitness gains anyway, so yeah, I'm not gonna catch up on the missed mileage for the week or anything, and I'm not gonna train harder in the following weeks to make up for it either. I'm just gonna continue to stick to the program, train well as usual, and yes, I might deviate from training again slightly, whether it comes to like weather conditions, sickness, personal circumstances, injuries, trying new experiences, or whatever, right? I feel like it should be okay. I honestly think that's probably the best way for me to approach it. And of course, I'll keep a close eye on how I feel in upcoming weeks as well. Anyways, I just feel like reflecting on that for a bit in terms of like missing out on workouts and that kind of stuff for this week. Let me know how you guys feel about missing out on workouts or like not sticking to the training program sometimes, and how you guys like to approach it or work around it. Yeah, other than that, that's all I have to say for now. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Bye.